Welcome to the Deepak Saini Show.
He said he gon' huff and puff and blow my mind up. You meet the island girl, she might dirty wine up.
Welcome to the Deepak Saini Show. I'd like to thank Jxxiii for the intro music. You can find a link to her music in the show description. My guest today is Barbara Wainwright. She's a certified master life coach and CEO of Wainwright Global. Barbara is known as the most sought-after teacher in the coaching industry. She's famous for training and certifying over 6,600 professional coaches worldwide and for creating the Wainwright method of coaching. Barbara is an international speaker, author, and trainer, and now has 3 books available on Amazon.com, and also hosts a podcast entitled The Power of Now with over 600,000 downloads. Barbara, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here. I really appreciate you, Deepak.
Oh, I appreciate you coming on. So, Barbara, I like to always start off with some version of this type of question. How did you get to what you're doing today? Most kids don't grow up thinking, I want to be a life coach, or I want to, be CEO of sort of a coaching company. We all astronaut, doctor, teacher, lawyer, whatever, fireman type of thing. So how did you kind of get to where you're at now?
That's a great question. And I'd have to go back to, growing up and going to school and trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I didn't really care for school that much. I was more of a rebel. And I ended up going into computer and software development and learning about programming. I loved it because I love puzzles. And to me, it was just like one giant puzzle that you had to figure out where everything fits. And along the way, I was also studying metaphysics. And so I learned to channel information. I went to pranic healing classes, crystal healing classes. I went to Doreen Virtue's angel therapy classes. Only at that time, it's called certified spiritual counselor classes. And I was just a sponge for absorbing information on how life works, how to make my life better, how to have a more richer experience in life. And while I was programming and doing all the logical things there, where everything makes sense, trust me, in the computer world, 1 + 1 is always 2, and it makes sense. In the world of people, it was very confusing for me. I was like, I don't get it. I don't understand why people aren't logical like my computer work. So I was, reading books on psychology, The Road Less Traveled. I read books on The Nature of Your Personal Reality by Jane Roberts, trying to understand that metaphysical aspect of life. And that, I think, was my searching for, I don't call it the meaning of life because it wasn't that, but my searching for understanding and trying to make sense out of things that didn't make sense to me was, I think, what got me to this point. So through my technology expertise and seeing this coaching world, once I discovered coaching, I went, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do. And then I had to back up and go, okay, let me look at this bigger picture of this coaching world. And what I saw was people making something that was so simple, complicated. And I went, we don't need this complicated method of learning how to coach and have all these, a lot of theory and talk. No, we need a system because that was my background. We just need a system of coaching. And then once you have a system, it's not hard to learn how to work the system. So I created a system of coaching. It's step by step. At this point, it's been proven to work and provide transformation for people so that they can step into their greatness, who they are, what gifts they're meant to give the world. And as a coach, that's what we do. We help people to go into their heart, find out what it is that they're truly meant to give. I believe that everybody's born with a divine purpose, that they have something that they're meant to gift back to the world. And with coaching, we help our clients go into their heart center, find out what that gift is that they're meant to give back to the world. And then we help them. Here's a key reason people don't change and why they struggle is because their subconscious mind isn't on board with where the creative conscious mind wants to go. So the first thing we do is we create a vision statement for them, which is written as if it's already occurred. So they can listen to that over and over again to get their subconscious mind, first of all, reprogrammed, or another way to say it is to get their neural synapses and the neural pathways in alignment with where they want to go. So 90% of the time, their thinking is in alignment with where they want to go. Not just consciously, but subconsciously, because
Sure.
I think 90% of the day we're working from our subconscious mind, whether you know it or not, you are. So you want your subconscious mind to be on board with where the creative conscious mind wants to go. So that's what we do. We create a vision statement that's written as if everything's already occurred. And when they hear that in class, when they're learning to coach, they also receive coaching. That's when the aha moments happen. That's when the, oh my God, yes, this is who I am. This is what I want to create in the world. And then they are getting that reprogramming happening. And after that, all we're doing is holding them accountable to taking steps and moving forward. But the resistance is gone. The self-sabotage is gone. The, I guess, anxiety and the stress that's normally associated with change, it's gone because they've seen themselves be successful in their mind's eye over and over and over again when they get ready to take those steps that would normally cause them to have anxiety or stress. It's like, no, I've got this. I've done this. I'm on this. I'm going for it. And it's just amazing to see it happen. And I really believe that's why I've trained over 6,600 people, is because I get referrals. They keep, people send people to me because they've seen the success that they've had. And in this simple system of coaching that I put together, it's a 16-hour training because it's a system. It's a system of training and learning, because we teach a little bit, you apply it. We teach a little more, you apply it. So by the time that you're done, you've already coached somebody. So when you get ready to go out and do it, you've got the confidence to know you can because you already did. So I think that's a big reason why I've been successful, and that's how I got here.
Okay, that was a lot, and we're going to get into more on the coaching and your approach to it. But you said something right at the beginning, and I want to just pull on that string for just a second. So you kind of talked how your sort of the software and that sort of thing, and you mentioned like puzzles. You like puzzles. So my question is, I'm just going to go off in left field for a second. So when COVID hit, a lot of people went to puzzles, and puzzle got crazy and stuff like that. So are you like an actual like puzzle? Do you like doing, actual puzzles?
Jigsaw puzzles. But I do. I like word games and jigsaw puzzles and things, anything that's going to keep my mind active. I really like that. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So interesting enough, because I think I'm really interested to hear your take on this, and I think it'd be really beneficial to the audience. We have a very diverse audience. Some people would be in the coaching space or looking for that type of work. Some people are very corporate-y, all sort of professional services. So very, very diverse audience base here.
Yes.
But ironically enough, I just wrote an blog post on my website. It might be 8-9 months ago now, but basically, what's in your words, what's the difference between coaching, consulting, therapy, mentoring? Because I think that gets confused quite a bit. And honestly, if you would have asked me 3 years ago, I was kind of confused, not on all of those terms, but on some of those terms myself. So I'd love to hear it in your words.
That's a really great question. And I see it all the time where people go, I'm a coach and I can help you write your book. But what they're really doing is providing consulting services. Right? Or I'm a coach and I'll help you grow your business. They're providing consulting services. So a consultant is someone who you better have all the answers when you walk in the door. That's what I was doing, a software consulting. If I didn't have the answers when I walk in the door, it's like, see ya, you can go right out the door, because you're hired because you have the answers. So coaching is our client has all the answers within them. And our job as a coach is not to tell them what to do, but it's to ask them, what is it that you want to do? What is it that's inside of you that needs to be expressed in the world? So coaching is quite different in that the basic premise is that our clients have the answers within them. Our job is to help them get to those answers. And a consultant needs to have all the answers when they walk in the door. A mentor usually is a combination. They usually have worldly experience that they can bring to mentee, where they can help them, they can coach them, encourage them, and want them to move forward. And they can bring their worldly experience to that session that they're having with their mentee. And the last one was therapy. Here's the thing. Some people aren't ready for coaching because they've experienced too much trauma and drama in their life. And if you can't stay present in the moment, then you really need to go to talk to a therapist. I call it talk therapy for a reason. It's because if you've had that trauma and drama experience, you need to get that energy out of your energy field. You need to let it go. Now, I call it transmuting. You transmute that energy into something that's more powerful, and it lifts and it goes away. But talking about it, I've been in groups where somebody came into the group and they had so much trauma and drama in their past that they hadn't talked about it. It was like years ago, but they hadn't talked about it. And they got into this group and they felt safe enough to share. And so they shared about this very traumatic experience. They could barely talk about it. They were like, oh my God, this happened to me. At the end of having shared that over and over again in these meetings, by the end they realized, yeah, that happened. So all the energy that was behind it had dissipated because they'd had the opportunity to talk about it enough to the point where there was no more energy in it. So it's very important, if you have had some kind of a traumatic experience, go see a therapist, talk about it until it's nothing anymore. And then you're over it. And then now you're ready to move forward in your life. You're ready for coaching. You're ready to, I guess, experience life from a different viewpoint instead of one from fear and, oh my God, the world's not a safe place. You can experience it from, yeah, the world's a safe place and I want to contribute in this way.
Yeah, I found, and there's certainly a role, I think, from the blend. Again, depends on the type of coaching you do and the type of clientele and what your niche is, and we'll talk about that a bit later. But there's certainly that place for a blend of coaching and consulting experience where needed. But I find that I don't say most, that seems too much. Many people who call themselves coaches are actually really just consulting, whether it be in the health field or the business or book coach, whatever type of thing. So I see that quite a bit.
Me too.
Based on what you just said about, the trauma and where someone should probably go first, maybe in some sort of therapy type of thing first.
Yes.
How would someone, again, very diverse audience base here, how would someone know that maybe, or how would they identify that maybe they need coaching, that coaching is right for them at this particular point in their life? What would be some signs?
I would just say that everybody could use a coach.
I would say that as well, but I want to hear from you too.
So I would say this: if you're struggling with something, if you feel like you're hitting your head against a wall and you're not having that breakthrough, that's a really good indication that you need a coach, because your subconscious mind obviously isn't in alignment with where you want to go and what you want to create. So struggle. I'd say that's the biggest indication that if you're struggling with something, get a coach to help you have that breakthrough, because you don't need to struggle. You really don't need to struggle in life. If you have a coach who can help you reprogram your subconscious mind to be on board with where it is that you want to go, you are going to create and manifest what it is in your mind's eye. Hands down, it's proven over and over again. So get your subconscious mind on board with where it is you want to go. Hire a coach that knows how to help you have that breakthrough. And then there's nothing that can stop you. It's all about staying accountable and taking the steps to moving forward toward what it is that you want to create and manifest in the world. It's pretty simple. And that's why, I don't know, when I saw coaching and I saw how convoluted and complicated they were trying to make the training, like one of the organizations that accredits coaching requires 120 hours of training to become a coach. I'm going, wait a minute. This isn't hard. This isn't rocket science. I'm not becoming a PhD in coaching. I want to help people. And the only thing we need to do is really, first of all, get their subconscious mind in alignment with what it is that they want to gift back to the world. And then there's nothing stopping them. It's just about holding them accountable to taking those steps and moving forward.
So Barbara, as being a coach myself, and obviously having a bunch of different certifications of different levels and different requirements needed, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes,
love to get your take on this. So I know what organization you're talking about. We won't necessarily call them out here, but I believe there is I think there's too many coaches, and I'm using air quotes for those who are only listening to the audio, that just, put their shingle out with no training, or just their just personal experience, which is nothing wrong with their personal experience. But I feel like there's a medium there. There needs to be some training,
I agree.
type of thing. So maybe just
Totally.
quickly, I mean, you kind of talked about, the Wainwright method and et cetera,
Yeah.
but, maybe just touch on that a bit.
Well, here's the thing. If you're going to a life coach who hasn't been certified, they probably don't know the definition of coaching, just like we talked about here. They probably have some life experience and they've done something, they've got some success in some area of life. But some of them that don't have the training are telling their clients what to do. So they're really consulting or advising or becoming a counselor, and they're hanging out the shingle of life coach. Those people stand to get sued for telling their client to do something. If they do that and they tell them, then they could get sued. So it's really important, I think, to understand the difference between what coaching and consulting is. Having your certification, for another example, is if you don't have your certification, you can't get liability insurance, because they know, the insurance companies know that in the training, you're going to learn not to tell your client anything.
Yeah, you bring up two really interesting points there, and we don't need to really go too much in either of those, but how many coaches out there don't even have insurance, right?
Right.
And, maybe it's their side hustle and they're not really serious about it anyway.
Yeah.
One, and then I guess the second point being, what was my second point? I forgot, I lost it now, but it's, what was I going to say? Oh, it doesn't matter. It'll come back to me later. That's fine.
Yes. Okay.
That's fine. Yeah, I don't know. I totally lost it. This first time. There's a first time for everything. I
Yes.
don't know where
Right.
this is, podcast recording 40 or something, and first time I'm lost for words. So let's take it from the last question. Kind of from the consumer point of view of like, should I get a coach? When do I need a coach? Let's take it again. There's going to be some small portion of the audience who is going to see this that might be like thinking about becoming a coach. And I know lots.
Yeah.
I'm a second career coach. I was in accounting. It was my first profession, and
Wow.
I know lots of people that are coaches as their second or third even career.
Yes. Yes.
So and again, there's different flavors of coaching. Maybe there's a blend of coaching and consulting, et
Yes.
cetera, as we talked about. So for someone who's listening, how would someone know or can identify if, like, yeah, I should become a coach, or like, what's that? I mean, you and me have our story,
Yeah.
but like, how would you answer that for the person who's thinking, should I become a coach?
I think, first of all, if you like working with people and empowering them, that's a sign that coaching would be great for you. If you like sharing your knowledge, now you can add consulting to your coaching. And I recommend this in class. You can have your coaching business and be strictly coaching, but you want to have the high ticket coaching packages that you see consultants out there. They're really consultants, but they call themselves coaches, right? But you can do that. Just do it right. Call yourself a consultant coach and put yourself out there and advertise those high ticket things, because a lot of people that are retiring now from the corporate world are going, I want my second career. What's that going to be? And coaching is great for you because you have all this knowledge that you coming from the corporate world that you can share with people that are getting ready to go into the corporate world. Your experience is extremely valuable to share with them. So you could learn the skills of coaching, because when you do coaching, you're empowering your client. You're not telling them what to do. You're empowering them to do what's they're called to do. It's different. Now, if they're called to go into the corporate world and climb that corporate ladder, and you've had that experience of being in the corporate world and climbing that ladder, you can coach them and empower them and be the consultant that helps them move forward up that ladder like they want to, because you've brought that wealth of experience with you. So I think coaching is huge. Consulting, and on top of that, that's where you're going to be able to charge a lot more for your coaching consulting. So I don't know if that helped answer it, but I really think the most important thing is that desire to help other people grow, to empower them, to be better, to be able to grow faster than they would if they didn't have a coach with them.
Yeah, I want to point one difference maybe is that, the example you used of sort of in the corporate world,
Yeah.
someone could have been whatever their job, maybe corporate, but I think they don't necessarily need to coach and or consult coach in that same field. If their hobby was photography, for example, and that was their passion, they developed a skill set as just a hobby over 20, 30 years or whatever the case may be. And now they want to coach or consult in photography or whatever the case may be. So I just want to make sure we underline that for people that it doesn't have to be where your career was. It could be anything, any place where you're knowledgeable.
So true, because I had a coach that I just recently trained, and I'm speaking with her very soon, but she was helping people with their pitches for financing. Right? She's like, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to help people with health coaching. And she's like, she just totally switched what she was doing all for, she was 65, so she was retiring. She's like, I am over that. I want to help people with their health. So she's going to do health coaching, which is really great. I think back to, should I get a coach? If you're struggling with your health in any area, having a coach will help you. And then there's people that, they've studied, like you said, this gal who was in this corporate world and helping people get financing for their projects. She studied nutrition. She studied all these things. So not only can she coach people with their health, she can also give them advice on holistic methodologies to help themselves.
Yeah. Right? And I just want to circle back. I remembered what I was going to say, my second point from earlier. It was just about scope of practice. And, I certainly as myself, again, depends on the type of client and the type of coaching or consulting I'm doing. We got to be stay in our scope of practice, right? We don't want to, I mean, obviously I have insurance and all that sort of thing, but then also we have to be very careful with our words as well, right? Like I'm always with my health coaching clients is like, I'm not a doctor. I'm not recommending anything. Many people find this to benefit, you might want to try that, we got to be careful with our words because we never want to get ourselves in trouble with that.
Exactly.
So kind of just building off on our last question on, should you become a coach? And you just mentioned this person you were just talking to, and you kind of threw out the term health coach, which again is a very blanket, it's very large. Like coach is a large term, health coach is still a large term. So maybe, maybe just to your experience, just talk about like niching and or specializing, kind of the importance of that.
Okay, so here's what I teach in my class. When you're determining which coaching niche you want to go into, you want to go into a coaching niche where you have a passion yourself. So like you said, maybe the guy came from a corporate background, but he had this photography thing that he absolutely loved that he was doing all the time on the side. Well, he should go into be a coach that helps people that want to get into photography because he's got that passion for it. So that's what I always recommend.
What about this? Sorry, Barbara, interrupt. Okay. So let's take this as our theoretical example here. What about like really niching down? So not only does he teach people photography, he teaches ex-corporate people to learn photography, and just narrowing it down. Like, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that's super important for the reason of when you are getting ready to go to market for your coaching. If you say I'm a life coach, it's going to fall on deaf ears. Okay. But if you say, I'm a coach who works with corporate executives who want to get into photography. Now people are going to, ex-corporate people, that's me, or a corporate person, that's me. And I love photography. So now I call that speaking to your clients listening. They're listening for, I'm the corporate guy. Photography, that's me. Now you've got their attention, and now you can finish the sentence with, here's all the benefits you're going to get from working with me as your coach. Yeah,
right. I think it's really important for those who are thinking of coaching as a first career, as a second or third career, whatever, to really find your audience, niche down as much as makes sense.
And I think it's really key to make sure it's an area that you have passion for. And then the next thing is, who is it that you have a passion to work with? Is it corporate executives? Is it the youth? Is it the young executive? Or is it older? Is it senior people that are like sitting around wondering what to do with the rest of their life? Right? I mean, who is it that you like spending time with? That's the person that you want to target in your marketing. Is who do you like to spend time with, and what do you love talking about all the time? Because now you're going to be fired up for your coaching business.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I'd share as well from my own experience, and again, this is just for some portion of the audience, not for everyone necessarily, is that don't be afraid to change it. Like when I started coaching, this was my target audience. And if I evolved myself to a degree, what my clientele wanted as well, but more so to how I evolved in my own thinking, what I wanted, I evolved my coaching and what I offer as well. So don't be afraid to, change it. Obviously not weekly, but there's an evolution with anything, even within our corporate careers or what have you, right? So
exactly. So that's beautiful. I love that. It is a flexible career. You can shift in a moment's notice. It's okay. You'll have your existing clients that you've helped. And if you decide, you know what, I don't know, I have people come to classes and they go, I want to have 3 different coaching issues. I want to help people with health. I want to help people with their business. I want to help people with their career. So it's okay to do that, but understand that means you're going to have 3 different types of marketing that you're going to be doing so that you can speak to your clients listening and get their attention.
absolutely. So, Barbara, before we wrap up today, I have a couple of my own questions for you. So again, I'm all about health, but this is not a health specific podcast per se, but I do always like to ask my guests, some what their kind of health and what looks like. So do you have a morning routine or anything that you do as far as your health?
You know what? I would love to say I had a morning routine. I walk. So that's to me, getting out and walking every day is super important. I have puppies, so they got to go for a walk. So it's a mandatory walk, but I love it. So I'd say that's the biggest thing I do. I also live in an apartment where we have, I call it a resort because we have jacuzzi and pools and things, so I hit the jacuzzi and I think it's really great to just relax. I think it's very important to have those quiet moments where you can be reflective on, all the wonderful things that are happening in your life and express that gratitude and thankfulness for all the gifts that we've been given. And I'd say, for my health, that's really what I do. But I'm also very conscious about nutrition and what I eat and what I put in my body. And I do a vitamin drink every day that has, 90 different vitamins and minerals that I take every day. So I think it's very important to nourish our bodies, but also to nourish our souls. And that walk for me, getting out in nature and the trees and the being out, seeing the different birds and just that nature, being out in nature is like soothing, so soothing to my soul. So I don't know, feeding it's body, mind, and spirit, right? Feeding all of that and nurturing all of that is important in my opinion.
I love that. It's not only the physical, it's also the mental and the spiritual as well. And all those things you're doing fantastic. Well, again, coming from the health angle, from the health bent, if you could go back and, give your, I don't know, 20-year-old self or some younger period self some advice regarding health, what would you tell yourself?
Wow, that's a great question. And I'll say I've always been conscious of food. I haven't really ever not been aware of that we are what we eat. I'm in my family. I guess my mother was in economic based major, right, where it was food and balanced meals and balanced nutrition. And so, and her father was a doctor and her mother was a nurse. So they were medically conscious, but my mother had been in the economics, which was in that day was all about being a seamstress. She was doing sewing.
Like home economics type.
Home economics,
yeah,
that's right. Sorry, that's exactly what it was, home economics. So she taught that. So you have very knowledgeable about the importance of having that balanced diet and the nutrition and everything. So the only advice I'd say is to keep up the good work to that 20-year-old self of mine. I was already ingrained into me when I was growing up. We always had bottled water in the house. We never drank water from the tap. So, there was things like that, speaking years ago, I was blessed, I guess, in that way to have somebody that was knowledgeable about all those things.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Many people don't, and especially more recent generations, they're growing up on commercials and of fast
Right.
food and stuff like that. So
Yeah. Right.
yeah,
You're right about that.
awesome.
Yeah.
So Barbara, you have a gift for the listeners. It's life coaching, 10 things you absolutely must know before you start your coaching career. And we'll put the link and all of Barbara's links in the show notes and in the description, etc. Can you just maybe high level what's this what's this gift for the listener?
That book is pretty comprehensive. If you are thinking about becoming a coach, there's some things that you should know before you get started, and they're laid out in that book very clearly. It's not a short one because it is 10 essential things you need to know. So it's not short, it's a little comprehensive, but at the same time, it's very good. If you are thinking about becoming a coach, read the book, because then you're going to be able to have a clear, enough knowledge to know whether it's the right move for you or not.
And is it general enough that if someone wants to be a health coach or a business consultant or whatever, photography, like it's general enough that it'll speak to everyone?
Right. And in fact, in the book, it talks about there's 52 coaching niches that my coaches are coaching in, because I teach a system of coaching. So because it's a system, you can coach at any genre you want to, and people are doing it in over 50 different niches. So I've listed them in there. So you could go, yeah, that resonates for me, or, oh yeah, this would be a good, or I could do that one too. It's all in there. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, people, go download it. And if you're even remotely thinking, maybe not even now, but maybe like this is something you might want to do in 10 years, at the end of your career, your first career, or what have you, definitely go check it out. Barbara, any last, words of wisdom or golden nuggets you'd like to leave the audience with?
I think it's super important that you check in to your heart, your higher power, whatever you want to call that, your inner wisdom, and ask yourself, what is it that I want to turn around and gift back to the world? What gifts are inside of me that I want to share with the world? And just start taking steps towards making that happen. You will be so fulfilled for doing that. So, live a life that you truly love. And you can do that if you tap into what you're meant to gift back to the world.
I love that answer. And I think if more people did that, we'd have a much, not necessarily a perfect world, but a much more improved world for sure if more people did that. So awesome, Barbara. I really appreciate your time today and being a guest on the Deepak Saini show. Thank you very much for the wisdom you dropped, the gift. Everyone, please check that out. And again, we're going to have all of Barbara's links and everything in the show notes and in the description. So I'm going to throw it back to Jxxiii, who's going to guide us out with some music. Thanks again for listening to Deepak Saini show. Exceptional results for the exceptional you. Till next time.
Podcast produced by the Minted Green Company,